Views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of?
Why, hello, Phil.
Well, hello, Fox.
We're back.
We are back.
And Tom is here, too.
Hello, Tom.
Hey, Tom. Tom is over there.
I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see him, but he's there.
You can step in whenever you want. And to remind people, we are live at Comic Zen. I was called Zen Comics. Comic Zen in Mansfield, PA for First Friday for another episode of the Philly Foxy Horror Spooky Hour.
What is it?
The Haunted Spooky Hour.
We're calling this something different today, right?
Well, yeah, well, it's an episode also. So it's like episode 54, and I just called it Horror Boogie. Because I needed to get the graphic done. You know?
Horror Boogie.
Horror Boogie. But we want to say hi to our fans here coming out. And we are live again at Comic Zen, and it's, a lot of fun. So we're working with some sound stuff tonight, apologies, and kind of playing with some background music. Maybe I didn't turn it down low enough. But, we're figuring it out.
Yeah, can they hear us all right? Because...
Yeah, I think they can.
Okay.
CC just said we have
really
some...
low on our end, so...
Yeah, it sounds like we're okay. I think we just had some background music we were trying. And we got some people, and I want to remind the Facebook people who are watching on the live feed, which you can go to on my Facebook page at T-Fox Dunham, that you can also hear the show if you open up another tab at www.paraxradionetwork.com. And so, yeah. So, we're here, and we're working on some sound issues. Apologies for that. It's a little fuzzy, and it's kind of like, yeah. But we want to remind people we are live.
Your sound is a little fuzzy, yeah.
Yeah, CC's letting us know.
Yeah.
And usually it's been good. It's tonight we're not having the best sound quality issues. We're working on it. We'll get there. I'm turning things down, and yeah. And we are in public. But I want to thank everybody who is joining us on the live Facebook. Looks like we've got quite a few people so far coming in.
By the way, I'm loving the new look for the Power X website.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, it's really nice work. Rebecca Bumble has done a really nice job with it.
Looks great.
Yeah. So... Well, while we work at our sound issues, I'm thinking we play our first ghost story, which is a ghost story that you recorded,
Right.
that we got from Darcy Orr, who wrote Haunted Philadelphia, and it's used with her permission, and it's a ghost story set in one of the famous, one of the famous universities in Philadelphia, Temple. Have you ever been up to Temple?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, you've been up.
I went there.
Oh, I didn't know you went to Temple. Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, well, I went to Ambler, though.
Oh, you went to the Ambler?
Yeah.
The Ambler
I didn't go to the
campus.
one on Broad.
Right, I get that. No, right. So, without further ado, this is a ghost story from Temple University, on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show. We are live at First Friday in Lansdale. It's August 4th. Can you believe it's August already?
I can't believe a month has gone by already.
It has. I know.
I feel like we were just here.
It really was.
It's flying.
Okay. And we will be back in a few minutes after this ghost story, and hopefully we can work out our, try to get some better sound going. We're just having some problems tonight. And thanks for joining us. We will...
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
Temple University, 2020 North Broad Street, Philadelphia. Researched and written by Darcy Ort. From her book, Haunted Philadelphia. Read by Phil Thomas with permission from the author. I received 3 strange visits from my wife. Reverend Dr. Russell Conwell told the congregation of Grace Baptist Church one Sunday. On 3 successive nights, she seemed to come and sit on the side of the bed which I occupied. A wife sitting on her husband's bed wouldn't seem strange to most people until they learned that Conwell's wife died 5 years ago before her visit. Conwell, the founder and then president of Temple University, claimed to have seen a ghost. He had been searching for his Civil War discharge papers, but neither he nor any of his staff could find them until Sarah appeared. While sitting there, she gave me valuable information relating to several important papers which I knew were in the house, but I could not locate, Conwell explained. It may have been a dream, but I got out of bed immediately after receiving the instructions and found the papers just where she said they were. According to Conwell, 3 years after the death of my wife, I began to see a form sitting on the side of my bed at the foot every morning when I woke. Conwell dismissed the visions as an overwork on his eyesight, according to an article he wrote for The Baptist, a sectarian publication. But the vision of his wife grew stronger, unnerving Conwell enough that he consulted 2 physicians. They told him that the apparition would disappear if he reduced the hours he worked. The doctor's advice made sense. Since Mrs. Conwell's passing, people noticed Dr. Conwell had become cold and distant. Perhaps grief caused the Reverend to snap. His maid certainly thought he had cracked when he told her that Sarah's ghost helped him find his long-lost Civil War discharge papers. But that didn't explain how he managed to find them in a black, lacquered box hidden behind a bookcase in Conwell's library. They had been searching for weeks for them. Conwell decided to prove Sarah's spirit was visiting them. He asked the maid to hide a gold pencil somewhere in the house where he would not find it. That night, Sarah sat on the bed and told him he would find it on the top shelf of the medicine cabinet, hidden towards the back. The following morning, Conwell returned the pencil to the astonished maid. Conwell never claimed he had seen a ghost. In a December 18th, 1919 article in the New York Times, he said, "I have never been able to decide what it was, but I do know that I was unable to locate those papers until I received the messages from my wife." In the same article, Dr. Joseph Leedy, Jr., an eminent physician of New York City, attributed the ghostly visit to an unnamed psychological condition and to unconscious cerebration, or unconscious thought. Finding the pencil was the third and last time Sarah appeared fully to him. Urban legend says she was insulted by her husband's need to prove her existence to others, although Conwell claimed he still felt her presence around him. When he passed away, he was buried beside her in Monument Cemetery. Ironically, in 1956, the final resting place of Conwell and his wife was disturbed by none other than Temple University. The university wanted to expand and purchase the cemetery. For more information about Monument Cemetery, see the Betsy Ross Bridge entry in Chapter 2. The Conwells were moved temporarily to Mount Laurel Cemetery until June 1959, when they were buried in the sidewalk alcove on North Broad Street between Conwell and Wachman Halls. In 1968, the couple was moved again to the newly constructed Founders Garden, where they have remained. Disturbing his resting place has caused Russell Conwell's ghost to haunt the main campus of Temple, but no one has gone on record claiming to see his ghost. He doesn't haunt Peabody campus, where his home once stood, however. Gertrude Peabody does that haunting herself. Peabody began teaching in 1923 as a home economics instructor. By 1930, she had risen to the position of Dean of Women. When Temple completed the new residence hall in 1958, they decided to dedicate it to Gertrude Peabody. Peabody left the university the following year. Or did she? Residents of Peabody Hall claim her ghost haunts the lobby and elevators of Peabody Hall. Some say she haunts the building because she committed suicide on the 4th floor of the building while she was still Dean of Students. The story initially seems believable, since she disappeared in 1959 after she was replaced as Dean. Temple offers no biography on their website and only mentions that she was Dean until 1959. Perhaps Temple decided to cover up her suicide. They don't like to discuss their scandals. After all, in their biography of Conwell, they say, Conwell died December 6, 1925. He and his wife Sarah were buried with full honors in a small courtyard next to Conwell Hall. They made no mention of his 2 previous burials, although they mentioned moving him in 1968. Alas, Peabody went home to Maine, where she lived out her retirement until passing away on March 30th, 1979.
Quality warning. This podcast often records in the field to gather the best in paranormal materia from witnesses. Often, we cannot control the quality of sound in this environment, such as you may hear distortions or perhaps the occasional moaning. But then again, we're not about control, are we?
Embrace the chaos.
Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror Paranormal Show Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para X Radio and at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com.
What Are You Afraid Of on Para X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction. We are ready to scare you.
Para X.
We are ready to scare you. What a great promo that was.
We are ready to scare
We are ready to scare you on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show. It's the live Philly Foxy Haunted Spooky Hour, episode 54.
That's right.
Horror Boogie.
Horror Boogie.
Yes.
Full tilt boogie.
Full tilt boogie. I don't know what that means, but it's scary.
It's pretty simple. Basically what it is, it's a little documentary that was done on From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
With Tarantino and George Clooney.
Right.
And just them acting crazy, and it's like behind the scenes of the movie. It was actually like an hour and a half long, and it's like actually a really well put together documentary though. Mm-hmm. I was watching it the other night, and when you said that, it just reminded me of the Full Tilt Boogie. Yeah,
Full Tilt Boogie. Yeah, I've not seen From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm not a big vampire guy. I'm not a big vampire guy.
You know
what can I say?
Half the movie is you don't even know the vampires are even coming.
Oh.
Yeah, like Tarantino just basically wrote it.
No idea the vampires are coming.
45 minutes to 50 minutes in, like you don't, like it's basically criminals kidnapping this family and taking them hostage and forcing them to take them over the border.
Okay.
They're on the run. And they have to meet these other drug lords, and they decide to meet at this like strip bar.
Okay.
And their family's along for the ride, and all of a sudden they realize the strip bar is infested with vampires.
Oh well, yeah.
And this doesn't even come until like almost an hour into the movie.
See, this is why we need to build a border wall to keep the Mexican vampires out. You know, that's it. It's just that I just converted. You know, let's okay. We're getting political.
I will admit though that the vampire aspect of it is not as good as the first part of the movie.
Really? So the first part of the movie is actually Breaking Bad, and then
good.
It turns into Dracula.
Yes.
I see.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, and that's given rise to a lot of sub things too.
Right.
I know it has.
So and the other ones I don't even know. I haven't seen 2 or 3.
So that was from Temple University.
Temple, yeah.
Yeah, a neat little ghost story from there, collected by Darcy Ort in her book Haunted Philadelphia. The third part of that trilogy will be on next week. What is it? Spookadelphia.
Next
Spookadelphia.
week,
It'll be on next week, right? As we get ready to go down to Fort Mifflin on September 16th.
Yes.
It's going to be good.
Can you believe that the next time we're here for First Friday, the summer will be over?
No, it won't be over. I can't. No.
It won't be over,
Right,
but it'll be September.
It'll be. We're burning through it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But I got down to Philly 2 weeks ago. It was the 2 weeks of last week. Remember, my wife Allison was down at UNC. Interviewing, and so I was going crazy at my in-laws' house, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to go down the city and enjoy myself. And I got tickets for a show. I went to go see the Tim and Eric Awesome Show tour. Do you know Tim and Eric?
You were telling me about it.
On Adult Swim.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know who they were.
Yeah, I've been kind of watching them. It's a late night thing that they do, real eccentric. The shows are like 15 minutes long, and they do the occasional special. But Bob Odenkirk knew Tim and Eric was on the show before he was...
And I know you said that he might make an appearance.
He was not.
He did not. There's a rumor that he might.
Yeah.
I was going to actually ask you if he ever showed up.
No, he did not show up.
Wouldn't that be cool, though?
Yeah, but I went down to the Merriam Theater it's by this Rittenhouse Square.
Right.
And I got tickets really fast. Fortunately, I was a single person. My wife obviously would never have gone. So I got it for like $50, and it was right in the front of the balcony. And it was going to go on late, and the trains don't run after a certain time in Philly. So I said, what the heck, I'll stay the night, and then go down and write for a bit at Cafe Walnut, which is a real nice place in Rittenhouse Square, and then go for walkies and do some tours. And what I did was, I went down and checked out the stories we put on. So some of the stories we did, like the Hag of Pine Street,
right,
or the Physic House. And I did the tour of the Physic House, and I was, sniffing around for ghost stories, and I even asked the guide if he knew any ghost stories. He'd been there for 15 years. And he's like, nope, never heard any. It's like they have this thing where they don't want to...
They haven't heard any.
They haven't heard... I mean, he's been researching the house for as long as he'd been there, and he claims to have never heard of a ghost story there.
Okay.
I just don't buy that.
No, I don't buy that either.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So no ghosts there, even though I felt a weird energy in one of the rooms. And then I walked up Pine Street, which is right there, and it's up in Society Hill, beautiful area, and there's that Hag of Pine Street,
right,
who's been there for a couple hundred years, apparently shown to house. She chases away young lovers. She comes running out with like a cane. She hits you. And so I walked up Pine Street, and I'm doing my own private paranormal investigation. I'm afraid this is what these paranormal investigations really boil down to. And I'm going, Hag of Pine Street. I'm actually saying this out loud.
Right.
Hag of Pine Street, are you here? Hello, Hag of Pine Street. I'm a young lover missing my wife. I'm on your yard. I'm on your lawn. Come and hit me. She did not appear.
Were you disappointed?
I was. It was really warm. It was really hot. I was boiling. I was drenched in sweat. But I walked up...
Maybe she didn't believe you because you were alone.
I know. I should have brought my wife.
Right.
But I walked up to the cemetery at the Pine Street Church there. Beautiful cemetery. I got some pictures of it. Checked it out. We got to go up.
Oh, yeah.
We got to go up. So you came on and you were talking about the Bell Witch earlier.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Bell Witch? You said a 200-year anniversary?
Well, not 2 year.
200. Yeah, 200. It's 2 centuries. Bicentennial.
It is the 200-year anniversary of the Bell Witch, Old Kate, otherwise known as Old Kate.
Old Kate.
Yeah. So I was actually, I didn't even dawn on me that it was until it was a couple days ago. Earlier this week, I was rummaging through the basement, and I came across this old box of books that I had. And so I was just looking through, and I was like, "Oh man, I forgot about this book. I forgot about that book." And then I came across one called The Bell Witch: An American Haunting, and I actually wrote some stuff down. It was by Brent Monahan.
Okay,
that's the author, and it was published in 2000. Okay, it was published in 2000, 2001, something like that. But it's a book that I read probably around 02, 03, something like that. And obviously, it's it's a modern day account, just of things he collected and things like that. And then I thought it might be cool. I just, on a whim, was looking through at the back, and I was like, oh, wait a second, because it's been a while since I read it, and it's not like I look stuff up for the Bell Witch every day, and I realized that these occurrences happened. They started in 1817. And went from 1821. So 1817 it's a 200-year anniversary. And I decided to go online. I looked, and I came across these other interesting books. And one of them was called Our Family Trouble. It was actually written by one of the sons. And it was written in 1846. about the 1817 to 1821 occurrence. And he journalized disturbances in it's a comprehensive manuscript type of thing. Oh, I guess we got this for you too.
Oh, okay. There you go. Awesome.
That he later passes on to his son, and his son Alan Bell. He later shares it with his closest family members, and in the late 19th century, Martin Ingram, he incorporates Richard William Bell's manuscript into a book, Authenticated History of the Bell Witch Entity, Our Family Trouble. Okay.
What could you tell us about the Bell Witch a little bit?
Well, the Bell Witch, it's named after the last name, John Bell, and apparently, not to get ahead of myself, but he was the only person that was actually supposedly documented proof of dying from a specter or spirit. So, he's the only person that his death was actually caused by a ghost.
The ghost killed him.
The ghost killed him, yes. And I believe, and now this part I'm remembering from 15 years ago when I read the book, his tongue swelled to the point where he could no longer swallow or breathe. And she was threatening him, I'm trying to remember why, but she was threatening him, and it basically asphyxiated him.
Oh, my word.
To the point where he couldn't believe it. And she caused his death. No other case in history has ever been documented that a ghost caused someone to die. That's only one. All right. And so I thought it was, it's pretty interesting just to talk a little bit about this lore, because being the anniversary. And there was another one called Martin Van Buren. He wrote this book, okay?
Yeah. Like the President Van Buren?
Martin Van Buren. I don't think it's him.
Because I know that, okay.
I don't think he's...
Oh, right, it's okay. He took over the responsibility.
He took the responsibility of the Family Farm at the age of 17.
It was Andrew Jackson,
and
right? Okay.
Right. And he wrote a book on authenticated history of the famous Bell Witch. And then, this is the longest title, I think, in history, and it goes on. That's the first part of the title. The second part of the title is The Wonder of the 19th Century, an Unexplained Phenomenon of the Christian Era. The mysterious talking goblin that terrorized the west end of Robertson County, Tennessee, tormenting John Bell to his death. That's actually the title of it.
Yeah, I've never written a title that long. No, not at all. Yeah.
So this,
get some comments on that one.
And it keeps going. The story of Betsy Bell, her lover, and the haunting Sphinx.
Right, and the haunting Sphinx.
Yeah. So in late March 1894, it was announced the publisher W.P. Titus in Clarksville would print the work, and it was released a few months later, also known as the Red Book.
The Red Book.
It's red. Yeah.
Okay.
Even modern copies are red.
Yeah, Mal didn't write it though.
What's that?
No.
Yeah.
Mal, little red book. Yep.
So you were talking about Andrew Jackson. Right?
Yeah, right.
The account of Andrew Jackson's visit is confirmed in Chapter 11 of Ingram's work, but paranormal investigator Benjamin Radford,
okay,
as well as Brian Dunning conclude that there is no evidence that Andrew Jackson visited the Bell family home. So it's hearsay.
Right, yeah, it's legend.
I mean, who knows, yeah.
Yeah.
So during the years in question, his movements were very well documented. And nowhere in history of his writing is there evidence of his knowledge of the Bell family.
Didn't he like turn over a cart or something when he was riding in it, or follow Andrew Jackson in the...
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, and Betsy Bell actually documents him as being there, and when she was a little girl. And she lived there, and she said he was there without a doubt. So, I mean, and that's one person that was there against a paranormal investigator. So I don't know who's right, but
right, I get that.
So he was, yeah.
No, that's fascinating.
It's pretty interesting. And then if you want to say anything more about it,
yeah, I know there was a movie that they did called like America's Ghost Story or something, The Bell Witch,
right?
And it is probably one of the oldest ghost stories in America, that long lasting. I mean, it's got a precedent and everything.
I know.
And I hear the Bell Witch still haunts like a cave in that area too.
The Bell Witch Cave.
Yeah, what's the Bell Witch Cave here?
Let's see. Well, I'll talk about the cave. So there is some things that have to do with the 19th century.
Okay, careful with the paper. It's crinkling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was looking through.
That's fine. We're live.
No, I know. Yes, we are. So there was a claim that the witch was set to return in 1935, 107 years after her last visit to the Bell family. But in 1937, there were reports of quirky events. Lewis Garrison, owner of the farm, that included the Bell Witch Cave. Okay, heard unexplained noises coming from inside. The bell descendants described the sound of something rubbing against the house, a paper-like object that flew out the door and re-entered through a side door. Faint music was being heard, like a piano playing, something like that. And a group from the local Epworth League were reported to have attended it says a wiener roast in a rock quarry near the Bell Witch Cave on July of 1937.
Another haunted weenie roast.
They were joking. He's like, that's right. I was going to make a joke about that.
Sorry. jump the weenie there.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
But they saw a figure causing them to flee.
Okay.
And they later said that, it was the moon, but then they realized later on that there was no moon that night. So, room reflection. And so, yeah, there's a lot of strange things. Another really interesting report is in 1965. There was a woman who lived. There was a customer's daughter who was going to buy like this rocking chair that was in the Bell Witch house, right? And they bought the chair, and then after that, some strange things started happening.
Okay.
And to completely recount it, 2 weeks later, the customer's daughter visited the home of Mrs. Adams, and said after her mother had left and visited the Bell Cemetery, a voice told her to stand up and look around. You will find something of much value. After some car trouble, the woman walked out into a field and found a black iron kettle turned over. She turned the kettle over and found a pearl buckle in the grass.
Right.
The woman's daughter reported a jeweler estimated the buckle to be 160 to 200 years old.
Wow.
So she heard it. So it could be the Bell Witch that maybe gave her a tip about specifically told her, look, go out and you'll find something of value. And there was that's irony,
Yeah. It's interesting.
I mean, take what you want from it.
It's interesting that it's a female ghost who has so much power and usually attacks the men. I find that convenient. I find that this sounds like a story of women's liberation at a time when women were very much kept at home. And this Bell Witch sounds empowering to women.
She actually protected Betsy. She was very protective of her. She tormented the family, and I'm pretty sure Betsy was very distraught over the entire situation. But according to eyewitnesses, she was actually protective of the girl.
Right.
Whereas John Bell, she was very malicious towards him, and apparently hated his guts for whatever reason. I mean, who knows? Maybe just because he was a man.
Well, that was really cool, Phil.
Yeah.
Now, let's jump topics.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite times in the show. I think you know what time I mean. We don't get to do this very much anymore because it's been slowing down.
I know.
But thanks to our fans sending us stuff, we have, everyone ready? Clown news.
We need to get a little sample of that. Dun, dun.
Yeah, we do. A little sample there.
Push button. Dun, 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 dun.
But that's our clown news. Everyone, it's going to be fantastic. So, yeah, we've got clown news, and I'm just adjusting some of the volume here to try to pick up the gain a little bit. Again, remember, we are a live show, so it's not going to be the most easiest thing to do. But yeah, we've got clown news. And just give us a sound check when you can, guys, and let us know how we're doing. But, okay, this happened in Maine, in the U.S. state of Maine. The police there arrested a drunk, one-armed clown who was brandishing... Yeah, Tom's over there.
One-armed clown.
He was brandishing a machete. Can you believe that? He was actually brandishing a machete. And his name was Corey Berry, 31, from the town of Hollis. And he was spotted...
It was you.
Yeah. Walking down the road in a black hooded sweatshirt and a clown mask, holding this weapon. Can you believe that? And he had like this machete duct taped to his arm, which police say had been amputated, and residents began calling 911. He ran off into the woods drunk, dressed as this clown. When the state troopers caught up with him, he was highly intoxicated, and he told people that he had been inspired by the clown sightings to come out and be a clown, and tape the machete to his arm. And he was going to go scare some kids. No, he's been arrested with criminal threatening, and he was taken to York County Jail, and he was released after posting $200 bond. Sounds like he was just a sort of drunk. You know what I mean?
Did he go to clown college, or was he just a nut that dressed up as a clown? You never know.
I don't know. Right, yeah, exactly. We don't know. We don't know, but he was out there, he had a machete, taped to his arm without an arm, and he could have been something out of a horror movie.
What would you do if you seen that? Like,
I was just thinking, if I...
along the road and...
Well, first thing I'd do is grab a camera.
Oh, yeah. Or probably your phone, right?
Yeah, and then I'd probably ask him if we could interview him on the show. A real live clown, finally, after all this time. And I think that's probably what would have happened if we had seen one of these clowns.
Speaking of clowns, are you excited for It?
I've heard of it. I don't know.
No?
Yeah,
the remake?
I found the book a little bit overdone.
Right, the book. But they're going to obviously adapt it into maybe an hour and a half to 2 hour film.
Right.
Have you've seen the miniseries?
Oh,
right?
yeah, with Tim Curry.
You're right, yeah, John Ritter and all them. And
the original Rocky Horror. Well, actually, Dr. Frankenfurter.
Right.
I can sing Frankenfurter pretty well. No, I'm not going to blow the mic off here. You have to be really loud when doing it.
Give us 3 seconds.
Yeah, later. I'll do it for the Facebook people, but I'm not doing it for... By the way, Anthony Riviera just said Grey Matter Press will be soon republishing John F. D. Tapp's hit novel, The Bell Witch, which is currently out of print.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just to get that in for Tony there. Big Tony River of Chicago, one of our faithful friends and fans.
That's cool. I'm going to check that out.
We need to get him on the show. So that's the story there. And then we got some other clown news. The Clown Motel, located in Tonopah, Nevada. Population like 2,500. It's got a reputation as the scariest motel in America. And it is for sale.
That's right.
You guys want to buy?
I don't have $900,000, but maybe I
$900,000? Oh, I don't believe that. Yeah. It is the scariest hotel. And they actually have all these clowns decorating the place. So it's like draped over the beds, it's hanging over the beds, it's over the doorways, there are clowns everywhere, and people get really freaked out. They stay there because it's cheap, and they put like towels and stuff over the clowns.
It's like $50 a night, right?
Yeah.
To stay there.
Yeah,
That's real cheap.
Yeah. The owner loves it because he loves clowns. But when he says whoever buys it, it's like how much I say? It's a lot of money. Whoever buys it has to keep the clowns.
It's $900,000 for, and that's the contingency.
Right.
You have to keep the clowns.
You have to keep the clowns.
Right. And according to the article, there was his partner was the one that owned all the clowns.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it was his idea, the current owner, to actually bring the clowns in and make that kind of a theme.
Right.
So I don't know why his partner had like all this collection of clowns, but this the owner who is Bob Perchetti?
Yeah, Bob Perchetti.
He's offering. He's asking $900,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to, like you were just saying, you have to keep all the clowns there.
You do.
Hey, we should split it.
Okay, you want to?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah, I
split the cost.
I don't think my wife is going to go for it.
No.
No.
We could run it from here. Just have like a manager out there in Nevada and just kind of just oversee things from here. So.
She's listening right now. I'm going to get into so much trouble for this. Yeah. But I'm afraid that might be our, clown news for a little while, because there just hasn't been very much clown news. And that's such a shame.
Hi, this is Tim from Comic Zen. We're located at 301A West Main Street in Lansdale, right near the intersection with Susquehanna Avenue. We have new comics, old comics, graphic novels, including comics made just for kids. Action figures, statues, comic supplies, board games, card games, and much more. We have a special order service for both comics and games, and we have a comic subscription service so you don't miss your monthly issues. So come to Comic Zen. Just don't upset the samurai ghost who haunts the store.
And guess what, kiddies? Foxy and Philly will be recording live from Comic Zen in Lansdale every first Friday of the month. So come down and see us at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, not then, because we will be recording live for the Philly Foxy Haunted Spooky Hour on ParaX Radio. And bring your ghost stories a little before or a little after, and we'll be glad to collect them at Comic Zen. First Fridays at Comic Zen. Comic Zen in Lansdale, PA.
I found it at last! Marla's Sacred Cauldron. This is the legendary artifact that has been whispered about in hushed tones for hundreds of years, and now it's mine! All mine!
Who dares defile the sanctity of my castle walls? Step away from the cauldron, you impertinent, muddy-metaled maltworm.
Never! I've spent half my lifetime trying to discover your age-old secret of stirring the cauldron!
Oh, for Merlin's sake, that's no deep, dark secret. Just tune into the Para X Radio Network Thursday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern for more cauldron stirring than you can shake a wand at.
Oh, well, in that case, I guess I don't need to take up any more of your time, so I guess I'll be going.
Not just yet. We've got a little unfinished business to take care of.
That's Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Para X Radio Network.
On What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show, we have had the privilege and pleasure of speaking to many of the great indie and commercial authors currently writing, especially in the field of horror. And I've come to know one of them, a Long Island gentleman who has been quite charming, intelligent, and patient with me as we've sort of brought him onto the show with his many great ideas, and we'll be hearing a lot from him in the future. His name is Daniel Brum, and let me tell you a little bit about him. As he's the author of The Night Marchers and Other Strange Tales, which came out from a prestigious press known as Cemetery Dance Publications, and Yeti Tiger Dragon from Dim Shores. It's forthcoming from Nikon eBooks, another prestigious publisher. His fiction has most recently appeared and is forthcoming in Spacetime magazine, and he is the host of Nighttime Logic Reading Series in New York. This is Daniel Brum. How are you, Daniel?
Doing great, Fox. How are you today?
I am fantastic. I'm missing my wife. She's in North Carolina, but I'm heading down to Philadelphia tomorrow for an overnight stay.
Oh, wow. Where are you broadcasting from?
Well, I'm not broadcasting tomorrow, but I'm in Lansdale right now.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm heading down to Philly. Technically I'm in Philly, but, I'm so many miles from the city center. It takes me about 40 minutes to get it down to Center City on the train.
Well, you have the podcast show and your listeners, and now me to keep you company. Small consolation, but we take what we can get.
Well, you were going to be doing a few segments for us, and I hope you can keep on doing them until the world ends.
I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that's going to be much later than sooner, but we'll get started just in case.
So, to open this up, you just had a new anthology come out called The Wish Mechanics.
Yes, it's a new collection. It's my second collection of short stories. It's called The Wish Mechanics, Stories of Strange and Fantastic. It's from Independent Legions Press. They are a publisher out of Rome, Italy.
Oh.
Yeah, that's an exciting little fact. What's exciting about Independent Legions? It's run by a Bram Stoker award-winning poet and author named Alessandro Manzetti, and he does publish a lot of the classic horror. He's buying up and publishing Richard Lehman stories, Jack Ketchum stories, and reprinting them into Italian. There seems to be a very large and enthusiastic market there. And very recently, in 2016 and 17, he's making a move into putting out some English language books, and I'm one of the first four young, newer authors to have an English book. So that's Independent Legions.
That's exciting. Now, how did this happen? How did the Wish Mechanics end up with Independent Legions?
Oh, it's a really sheer joy and luck. But the way I met Alessandro. He had a project called The Beauty of Death. The Beauty of Death was an anthology that came out in the summer of 2016, and I submitted a short story to the project. It's called How to Make Love and Not Turn to Stone. And look, when you get a chance to read my fiction and you've read some of it, I do stand behind it. I'm very proud of myself, but it's a very acquired taste. It's a very niche within a niche of a genre that I'm writing at. and Alessandro connected with the story. He, not only put it in the Beauty of Death anthology, but when I had a wonderful moment where I had a chance to meet him in person at a writers' convention, and you could tell when someone, he really enjoyed the story, and he introduced me to his wife who had read the story. So we had a connection over the project and the story. So when I was putting together The Wish Mechanics as a book, he was on the top of the list of publishers I wanted to put it in front of.
Excellent. And that gave you a bit of an international base here, which is quite a feather in your cap.
As a new writer, that's one of the things we want to do is build a base and build an audience. But I have been reaching different shores. I'm a newcomer to Italian horror and Italian cinema, but it just it does feel prestigious, or just feel really nice to have that Italian connection to my work, which does have a connection to the 70s literary, quiet or intelligent horror that came out in that decade, and from a lot of those artists.
For our listeners, you may remember Daniel's voice from The Dark One's Rise, which was at the, and I hope I say this right, the KGB Club and Bar, is it?
KGB Bar in New York City. That's where, we had a great night there, Fox. You read, what's the name of the story that you read? It was in one of the Dark Visions anthologies from Grey Matter Press. The
Last Elf. It was in their first one, Omnious Realities.
Yeah, you read The Last Elf. We were celebrating Mr. White. I didn't read any of my own work, but I was pleased that I had the chance to read a bit of Mr. White.
Right, and that became an episode of the show as part of our special author series, which we have a few more coming out in the future, just, authors reading their work.
And you can cut this out if it didn't air, Fox, but I think they may have heard me. I may have been on the show before. I think I read a bit of An American Ghost in Zurich.
Right, that's when we were doing the bits leading up to the event in the KGB.
Oh, okay. All right, so it was part of that series. Great.
Right. So that was The American Ghost in Zurich. I remember that. That was also published by Grey Matter Press, a good friend of ours over there, Anthony Riviera, Big Tony Riviera of Chicago, and Sharon Lawson. They've been quite supportive.
Yeah, we love those publishers. That was I think that's where we our first, hopefully first of more appearances, where we appeared in a table of contents, because I believe you were in the book that An American Ghost appeared in was called Savage Beasts.
I was, yes.
Fox, what's the name of your story? You were the closing story in that book, if I'm remembering correctly, Fox.
And in Omnious Realities. Savage Beasts was my German story, which is appearing on the show in these last few episodes, called Der Musik des Teufels.
Yeah, it was a wonderful project where authors like us got to sort of mix media there and write about music. And I guess that's why Fox I think I read an excerpt of it on the show, because An American Ghost in Zurich, while it is a tale that does deal with music, one of the things Fox and I are going to be talking about tonight, and hopefully having a much longer conversation as our thoughts evolve over these series, is it's a different theory, or there is a different kind of ghost in An American Ghost in Zurich, if you want to even call it a ghost at all. And that's a topic that I'm interested in, both in my fiction and in talking to people like your listeners and people like you, Fox, about, well, we've all had supernatural experiences, whether we choose to label them as such, but what's going on? What is the range of possibilities? What do we think? What do we feel? And American Ghost in Zurich is a different kind of ghost story, perhaps. And I think it's fun because it mimics a lot of the different experiences and different thoughts that people have out there for just what, to use the title of this series, just what are we afraid of?
Right. Thank you. Yes, indeed. I want to jump back a little bit to talk about your style. And reading you were talking about you were writing with a horror style of an earlier time. And you reminded me a lot of the stories of, say, Ray Bradbury.
That's really kind of you, Fox.
Where you've got this intelligent fiction, and it's not obvious, it's subtle. and you have to read the subtext, because you'll miss it. You'll miss it completely. If you're expecting an obvious, in-your-face, spoon-fed horror fiction, don't read Daniel Baum. But if you're expecting intelligent subtext in your fiction where there's a story going on underneath the story, and it doesn't need to jump in your face. It's just quiet, and then it hits you with a sledgehammer in the last paragraph.
That's really kind of you to say that, Fox, and really kind of you to even use me in the same sentence, paragraph, or planet as Ray Bradbury. I'm a newcomer to Ray Bradbury. Believe it or not, in the year 2017, I'm reading my first works of Ray Bradbury. So, like, actually, right on this desk where we're talking from, I've got some Bradbury. I've even got his book on essays on writing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for talking about subtext. That's something, I suppose, stylistically, that is very important to me. I feel, and I want to put out a lot of thanks to my first publisher, Cemetery Dance Pulp Magazine. They're a noted horror publisher.
Yes, they are.
And how I got my start, I started off thinking I was a science fiction author. And through a series of mishaps, I didn't read Cemetery Dance magazine, and I had some submissions. Had some submissions out to them, and lo and behold, I got stories accepted into Cemetery Dance, and it was a strange thing to me because I was like, wait a minute, I didn't think I was writing horror. So the kind folks at Cemetery Dance, which at first I'm ashamed of myself for pigeonholing and saying, oh, Cemetery Dance horror, I don't understand what that is. That's one kind of box or one kind of fiction. But through the generosity and the education of Cemetery Dance, I realized the broad umbrella of stories that horror has, and Cemetery Dance acts as a not even a who's who or a what's what of the kinds of horror and the kinds of supernatural or the kinds of ghosts that we can have. So it was really eye-opening to me to be included in that magazine and in that legacy, especially writing a more quiet kind of horror that, at least in today's visual, it's not in vogue, at least, or it's coming back in vogue in today's in cinema, like moving out of the splatter, which is the splatter and the gore, or some of the more intense horror, which is fantastic. But there's also the umbrella of the Studio A24. There are stories like It Follows, The Witch, The Neon Demon. A lot. The supernatural horror is having a resurgence right now, and it's a pleasure to be associated with it.
It's funny. Our stories are very similar. I started out as a literary author. My gods are J.D. Salinger, Ernest Hemingway, Capote. Oh God, I adore Capote. You have the college presses out there that do the literary magazines, and you had a couple like Rosebud, and
sure.
I knew the editors, and they were all vanishing. It was extinction. So I could either be fighting these college professors for this small literary space, or I could start making some money and a name by writing genre fiction. And what ended up happening was I went in the way of Ray Bradbury too, where you would write a science fiction or a literary, and my point is that I found that where you've got genres like science fiction, literary, comedy, horror seems to be the color of those genres. Like you can write a sci-fi that's a horror story, or you can write a literary story. What are these splatter films that you're talking about, but really murder mysteries with a ghost or a supernatural monster? So
yeah, horror, as I think you're talking about horror as a mode or horror as an emotion, and that's a wonderful thing, or a wonderful tool, where it could be like what the story is about is a sense of wonder or a sense of horror. Often they're two sides of a different coin. Coloring or tailoring the way a different genre is going to go. Even the subset of horror that I've been told I write is literary horror or weird fiction, hence the Strange Tales moniker.
Again, very Bradbury-like. You've got it down.
Yeah, so I find the intersection of horror in other tales, in other like stories like a literary or a mystery or science fiction. Yeah, it's a very exciting thing. It interests me a lot to read and watch those sort of works. It's something that's definitely drawn me to your fiction as well. I definitely noticed that.
Thank you for talking to us on this episode of What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show on Parax Radio at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday nights.
Looking forward to seeing you then, Fox.
Caliburn Press, LLC is a Madison, Wisconsin-based publishing company owned and operated by Alan Ledden. Caliburn works with talented writers, artists, editors, and marketers throughout the United States, and you can find their books through their many imprints that include Damnation Books, Eternal Press, Meliferia Press, Ciento Sordida Publishing, and Spiro Publishing. Please visit their website at sites.google.com/site/Caliburn Press LLC/home or Google Caliburn Press to check out their growing list of titles on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and any other place fine books are sold.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh from the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushroom sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of the novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all go.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X.
So, great interview from Daniel Brum.
That was great.
Yeah, Daniel Brum is doing a bunch of content for us coming up. He's going to be exploring ghost stories, going to ghost events, doing EVPs. It's going to be cool.
It is going to be cool.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Just to remind people, we are in public.
Yeah, it's getting loud.
It's getting loud. We are here at Comic Zen in Lansdale, PA. Before we go, I wanted to mention about this Scottish family. This has been all over the news. They live on the Scottish border. They've been advertising for a new live-in nanny. They want to pay £50,000 a year to look after a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Why? Because the house is haunted. They've been there for 10 years, and every nanny that they've invited up has run away because of objects moving, phantom howling, ghost sights. So now they want to pay £50,000 to have a nanny come and stay there. Isn't that crazy?
Maybe, yeah, I mean, I wonder why they would stay there themselves, though, if all that stuff's going on.
Well, they don't apparently see it. They just see, you know, they just hear it from the nanny,
Oh, so they never actually encountered anything.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. Anyway, we're going to start bringing the show to a close. I just hope our sound's been okay. I'll be checking into that. And we are going to close tonight with a song from our old friend and old show supporter, Willie Boo Walker. You know, and I love playing a song once in a while. I'm trying not to oversaturate with Willie Boo, but we love Willie Boo.
Yes, we do.
And Willie Boo, recently inducted in the U.S. Lewis Halls of Fame, is a solo artist, a songwriter, composer, and performer noted for his characterful vocals and swaggering live performances. He's diverse and a prolific artist. He's from Glasgow, Scotland. I think he's the one hiring the nanny. You know, I was married in Scotland. This is from Moon Over Indigo. But just before we go, I just want to say I just got an email, return email from Penhurst Asylum.
Yes.
Telling them that we want to come down there in October, set up, do a show, talk to the audience, and, you know, we want to do a show down there in October as part of our season. And he wrote me back and said, we are very interested in working with you. Please call me or email me back. So it sounds like we're going to Penhurst.
Do you have the email? You want to show them?
Yeah, I can show you. I'll show you the email.
It literally just came through.
It just came through.
A few minutes ago.
Yeah. From Jim Burner. But please let me know the best way to work. So we're going to Penhurst.
Yes.
We'll see if we can do a little ghost hunt beforehand, see if we get some EVPs, but we are going to be setting up at Penhurst in October, Penhurst Asylum. It's on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show on ParaX Radio's Friday night at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com to check out our ghost stories, our archive, our content, things like that. And we will be repeating at 9 p.m. on ParaX Radio. Tom, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Tom.
Phil, it's been a great show.
Fox has been a great show.
Yes, and we leave you with the old master, the devil. It's having some trouble. Willie Boo Walker on episode 54. This is Horror Boogie.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Book. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the Stargate anthology, Points of Origin, from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Mercy was recently released by Bloodbound Books. Fox is an active member of the Harvard Association. He's been published in hundreds of short stories and articles, and his motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas resides in the suburbs of Philadelphia and is an author and filmmaker. His screenplays have been produced into feature films such as False Face and Always from Darkness that are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.